Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Strategy Game Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Shippey, and today we're talking about what it looks like to be seen. Now, can you think of a time when you really truly felt seen by somebody? And how did that feel for you? The definition of seen is to perceive with the eyes and to discern visually. So there's a lot even to unpack in that definition, but I want you to notice two words: perceive and discern. So it's often said that the eyes are the window to the soul. Um, and I'm sure you can think of a time when someone just looked at you and they really, really looked at you and they looked into your eyes, and it almost felt as if they were staring deep into your soul. Our emotions are reflected oftentimes through our eyes, right? And so there's another thing I want you to take note of as you kind of go throughout your day and think about this. Have you ever seen someone's eyes shift in the middle of a conversation? So you can be in a great conversation, you can be well connected, and then all of a sudden, maybe you say something or someone else says something, or the environment changes and their eyes shift to, I call this from a soft state to a hard state. So you can immediately tell that they are shutting down, that something happened that caused a wall to go up for them. And I'm sure you can think of a time when this happened to you. This is what I'm talking about when we really see people and when we start to notice them. So just looking into somebody's eyes can actually tell us a lot just about where they are in that moment, just so that we can know exactly what state they're in, and we can know how to proceed with the conversation, how much to open up to them, how much to maybe pause on sharing something, right? So this can be essential when it comes to life and business. So our personal relationships, if we're sensing that someone is shutting down, that's a cue for us. It's a call to pause in our spirit and say, hey, I need to take a break here and just think about or perceive or discern what's going on in this conversation and what might need to shift, or maybe something that I might want to say or not say depending on their condition and where they are. So I actually, in the book, I talk about this, and we talk about the different parts of the eyes and how they actually work together to help us see. And what's interesting about it is that there's a translation process involved in how our eyes actually convert light into electrical signals. I won't get into all the details on this, but it was fascinating because translation is needed. And so when we see each other, when we see with our eyes and we are paying attention, we are able to understand with our minds and translate with our hearts, and then connect with our movement or response. So what this revealed to me as I was writing it is that it's really a full body effort. And so this means that we have triggers, or we have emotional blocks, or we have previous wounds that we're holding onto, and these can distort our ability to see clearly. And this can be in the workplace, because we're all human and we're all going to have to work together on teams. And there will be certain moments or repeated patterns that you find yourself in. And this will require you to translate what is happening, verify, have conversations, right? Uncover any blocks so that you can move forward effectively. And it also happens in life and in our relationships, right? So if you think of a pair of foggy glasses, this is what came to mind for me. So, when your sunglasses are really dirty, or your glasses, and you reach into your sunglass case, and you have to clean them, or the nearest dish towel. And then you put them back on and they're so clear, and you can finally see the way they were intended for you to see out of those glasses, right? That's the way it feels when we have triggers or blocks or wounds that stand in the way of our ability to really see things clearly. So when our eyesight, quote unquote, is poor, our clarity and perception of others and ourselves is going to be off. So we can actually distort how we're seeing others based on our own wounds and emotional blocks. And that holds us back actually in our careers as well as our life. It holds us back in our life relationships from experiencing a deeper level of connection and trust. And it holds us back in our business relationships from making assumptions that might be false assumptions and translating things incorrectly. So our translator is off when we don't verify the things that we're seeing, when we don't clean our glasses, so to speak. And so that's why this is so important. So the importance of seeing others, I'm going to go through 3 things. It builds connection, like we talked about, and just we as humans really need connection. It spurs us on, it motivates us, it encourages us, it gives us feedback, it can hold us accountable. It can be the reason we wake up some days and put one foot in front of the other during hard days. We are literally wired to function with connection. It instills hope. So being seen really instills a sense of hope. When we feel seen, we feel understood. And when we feel understood, we feel like we are not alone. And so when we're not alone, that gives us a sense of hope and it gives us clarity on things. So being seen gives us and others clarity. So when we see others where they are, we can gain a larger perspective that can give us an understanding of why they're maybe reacting a certain way in a certain situation, or they love certain things, or they want to be with certain people. We can learn so much that can help improve our relationships in life and in business when we learn to see others well. So here's the path to seeing others clearly. I'm going to give you a couple tips. Realize what is unspoken. So what are those around you saying without saying anything at all? Can you think of a time when you walked into a conversation and there was just a tension in the air and words weren't being used, but you could tell just by the person's expression and the feeling that that person was giving off, that vibe, right? You could feel that. So what are people saying without saying anything at all? And when you can put words to that for yourself, and sometimes for others when they ask for it, it will change everything. And number 2, use eye contact. So, I mean, this is such an obvious one, but I feel like we can forget this so many times. We can go through our closest relationship in life, closest relationships without even taking a few minutes and just making eye contact with each other. And then observe others. So what are their facial expressions? Just take a day and pay attention to maybe what others are saying and not saying, observing their facial expressions, like you just kind of pulling back and watching. And you will learn so much just about those people. And they will walk away from a conversation with you just feeling like you really saw them and you might not have even needed to use words. And then the last thing is taking an account of what you're feeling. So in order to see others, we also have to see ourselves. Seeing ourselves really allows us to be able to understand what we want in friendships and relationships. So it helps us to know, what are my boundaries? What are my limits? What are my triggers? What are my patterns? And then when we can get in a healthy place, and we're never going to have arrived, but we're always going to be working on this. But if we can do some of the work that will help us get clear glasses for ourselves, then we can also reflect that onto others. So it's a really important foundational principle to success, really, in our lives and in our businesses. And that's why I really took some time to write about this and discover it for myself. What does this look like to be seen? How does this actually work? And the 2 words that I'd love for you to walk away with are perceive and discern. So perceive what's going on around you today, and then discern or translate what it looks like. And if something feels off, verify. Don't assume or make judgments about yourself or others. Take the time to verify those things, because that's where the subconscious mind can creep in and trick you into believing something that's not true about yourself or others. And that can have long-lasting impacts on your life and your business. So we want to make sure that we're getting clear glasses, that we're removing the fog out of the way so that we can really see ourselves and others really clearly. Thanks so much for listening in. If you like this episode, give us a review. As always, that really helps. And for more, head to storywork.co.